Start the live stream.
Okay, good morning and welcome to what is the penultimate meeting of the Angus Licensing Board in the term of this council. I would just like to say before the start of the official business to welcome Tina Magson back. You'll remember Tina was here about 18 months ago, so it's good to see you, Tina, although we can't see you, but I know you're there. And to wish all the best to Mr. David Thompson, who's been an excellent support to this board. David is leaving the council. He's not here today, so if anybody wants to say anything, that's fine, but I don't think it's really relevant because David's not here to hear it. But if anybody does, then please, by all means, put your hands up and you can say anything. But we just wish him on behalf of the board all the best for whatever he's doing in the future. Anyone? No? Okay, thank you. Mrs. Anderson, are there any apologies for absence, please?
There's no apologies, convener.
Okay, thank you very much. Any declarations of interest? No. Okay, thank you. Members were asked to approve as correct records the minutes of meeting of this board held on the 13th of December 2021 and the 13th of January 2022. Do we agree to approve these as correct records?
Agreed.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you very much. Agenda item number 4. The first item of business is a provisional licence extension application, and it's for the former Seaforth Hotel site in Arbroath. And we have Mr. Chris Gruner with us this morning. Mr. Gruner, you may speak to this application, and there may be questions from board members afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, convener. Good morning, board. I had the pleasure of appearing before you almost 4 years ago in August for the grant of this provisional licence on behalf of my client Marston's. Marston's are a substantial company with quite a pipeline of premises, and they move in and out of schedules as one might expect for a company this size with developments across the country. The reason for the application is principally COVID related, in that in March 2020 the whole sector was thrown into great doubt, an issue with measures coming in and out of force of whether premises could or could not trade. In addition, pipelines and bodies and people to actually build the premises were all challenges that my client faced. The Coronavirus Scotland Act 2020 did bring in a provision, and in your fine report it is identified that on the first application for an extension in these circumstances, if the board are satisfied that coronavirus is a factor in the delay, it recommends a minimum period of 6 months. That is how we interpret that section. Not that the board must only give 6 months, but that on the first occasion a minimum of 6 months. That is a change to the Licensing Act that came about in April 2020. Obviously, when we were a bit more confident, or maybe with a bit of hubris, that we'd all be out of this within 6 months and things would be returning to normal. Obviously, dragged on somewhat longer. My client is in essence seeking a 2-year extension to the provisional to make up for the time that has essentially been lost as a result of coronavirus in their view. It of course is a matter for the board entirely whether you think that's a reasonable request or some lesser sum. And as your excellent report has pointed out, though, if you are satisfied coronavirus is a factor, then the starting point would be 6 months and drawing a line somewhere between the two. I'm sorry that my client is unable to attend this morning. I do hope to be able to answer your questions that you may have about this as we go on. And obviously, if you were dissatisfied or felt there was additional information, again, there is an opportunity for continuance, hopefully before the next expiration in August. But I hope we can deal with this today if the councillors are all with me on that. That in essence is the application. I'm not going to go into the history of coronavirus and the various challenges which you'll be very familiar with. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Durno.
thanks for Mr. Gunnett for coming today. I just wanted to know, is your client aware that there is a kind of burger van vehicle on the site where last summer was actually selling drinks? They were supposed to be slush kinds of juice. Now, there's not been anybody checked out this vehicle, and I just wondered if it had your permission to be on the site or if it was an unauthorised vehicle that was there.
It would be extremely unusual for us to give my client to give such permissions, and they may be well unaware of that. I'd be more than happy to take that back to my client and drop an email into the board after today's meeting just to update you on that, if it is. And obviously, if it's a security issue at the site, we're grateful to the councillors for bringing it to our attention. I've not experienced Marston's allowing transit traders on development sites in the past, so I'd be surprised, but I'm afraid that is one of the points I don't have instructions on explicitly.
Yeah, I thought that was what the case was. When I asked the man in question, he said he had full permission, but I was unaware of what kind of things he was actually selling to the children, so I just wanted to make sure that it was nothing to do with yourselves, but obviously it's not. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Durno. Councillor King's hands down. Councillor King, do you still want to ask a question?
No, convener, it was going to be a comment.
Right, okay, thank you. Councillor Fairweather, a question?
Yeah, thanks, convener. Just quickly, I'm pleased to see this letter and the fact that they're asking for this extension. Can perhaps you confirm that you are actually going to go ahead with this particular building in this site?
My clients have instructed me to kind of extend the licence and incurred the costs of this application. If it was a site that they weren't interested in at all, I don't expect they would be making such an application. In the sort of short term, it is good to proceed with, but I don't want to mislead the board and say that there isn't a possibility of that being reflected on it sometime in the future. At the moment, though, our intention is to proceed, and we're happy to make this application to allow us that time to proceed. Again, if that should change, we will revert to the board accordingly.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor King?
Ready for comments?
Yes, there's no more questions. On you go,
Right,
Councillor King.
okay, I welcome this application. I understand exactly where Marston's found themselves as a result of COVID. But having stood on the braes opposite the Seaforth Hotel in 2006, watching the flames coming through the roof, it's been a long time coming. And I would hope that it will be sooner rather than later that Marston's will implement this extension and build the premises that they promised to build 2 years ago. I agree with Councillor Durno's comments on the misuse of the site by people selling bits and pieces and parking camper vans there. It's a pity Marston's aren't doing a bit stronger in terms of site security to make sure there is no trespass on their site, because there has been problems with camper vans coming to our booth, parking on public ground, park ground, and anywhere else they can come in. And this chap seems to have set himself up there permanently. So I would appreciate if Marston's could clear the site as soon as possible.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Moore?
Thank you, convener. Yes, just like Councillor King, I welcome this application. The hospitality trade has taken quite a knock over the last 2 years, and it's very welcome to see somebody bringing forward an application for extending and wanting to have a licensed premises. So I think we should be approving this and wishing Marston's good luck in getting the hotel up and running as soon as possible.
Okay, anyone else? No. Okay, members, we've got the recommendations in front of us, and we've to determine whether or not we're going to extend the provisional period in terms of section 45(7)A of the 2005 Act. I'm going to move that we do extend that. Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, members, the next item is agenda item number 5, premises licenses under the Licensing Scotland Act 2005 licence review proposals. Before we consider this, can I ask Mrs. Corletto to update us, please, on the list, maybe if there's any more licence fees being paid? Thank you.
Hi, good morning, councillors. I can confirm that we've received 2 further payments from the list of non-payers. That's licence 146, the Crown Inn, and licence 183, Sinclair's Kitchen. There were approximately 50 non-payers, and we've whittled it down now to 7. They received the first letter on the 31st of August last year, and then a reminder was issued on the 1st of October 2021, and then a final reminder was issued on the 15th of December 2021. I have tried to contact all of these premises by telephone and have left messages for them to call me, but to date nobody has responded.
Okay, thank you. Councillor King. Councillor King, you're on mute.
Right, sorry about that, Convener. Could I ask for the numbers of the licences that have been paid to be renewed? I picked it up as 183, but I didn't catch the first one.
146, Councillor King.
146, so that's the Crown and Sinclair's Kitchen, right? Thank you.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Fairweather.
Yeah, just quickly, Convener, the Old Bean coffee shop, that's no longer. It's got a new name, I don't know what it is, so that may be the reason for that one. But it may be worth finding out if the new owners are using that licence.
Thank you, Councillor Fairweather. I'll take that on board.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Moore.
Yes. Number 317, Seven Sins Rugbug Bennies. Haven't we just dealt with that recently? Is that not a fairly new licence? So
yes, it was.
Would they not be aware?
It was at the board recently. I have tried to make contact with them, but I don't know if they're actually trading at the moment. But they were at in front of the board just recently for a major variation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I have a question. I don't know if Mrs. Corletto can answer this or Miss Magson. The workhouse in Forfar, licence number 127. Now, that's not been public house or licence, but it's been, as far as I am aware, it's been a hairdresser's for the last at least 2.5 years. So I'm just, the question is, how are we going to recover this?
I understand that this was on the list last year and maybe even the year before, and the board suspended the licence, and obviously until payment was made, but obviously payment's not been made, so it's still lying as suspended. Therefore, we can't take the licence away until it comes back to the board, and it's up to the board to decide what to do with that licence. But I do understand it is a hairdresser's.
Okay, thank you. Okay, members, I think we'll do as we usually do. Councillor King, sorry, my apologies.
Yes, I was just going to come in, Convener. I appreciate that some of these may have ceased trading. I appreciate that some of them may have changed hands, but our normal procedure on this is to hold a hearing at which the people are cited to appear, and if they don't appear, we can then suspend or withdraw the licence. And I think we should just follow through the normal procedure of bringing these up at the next board where we can deal with them.
That's exactly what I was going to say, Councillor King. I totally agree with you. So, members, do we agree to hold a hearing for these non-payments, and some of them might have reduced by then, at the next board meeting? Is that agreed?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Could I also ask the convener?
Sorry, Councillor Moore.
We have had 2 that have just paid. Can we ask them to provide explanations as to why they were so late? Because paying just before they're going to appear on our naughty list doesn't really seem appropriate. It's playing a game, and I think we need to start sending a message out. If you pay late, we want to know why.
Mrs. Corletto, is that something you can take up with the...
I don't know if there's any provision for us to do that now that they've made the payment, but maybe Miss Magston could advise.
Okay,
yes, members, I don't think there's any provision for us to do that. I appreciate that it's a difficulty that we've faced year in, year out with regard to licensed premises, but seeing as they have already paid, I don't really think it's for us to question why now.
Okay, thank you, Councillor King.
Yes, Convener. I don't think it's appropriate for this board to start hauling people over the coals at this late stage in the game. It's a matter which should be raised at the next time this comes up. If we find that people are paying extremely late, the new board can then go back and say, well, why are you late? Why didn't you pay when you had other reminders? And then they can take appropriate disciplinary action, like putting a warning on the licences or not. But with one more board to go, or possibly two, if we have to have a special board before the elections, I don't think we should be doing anything, but we should be flagging up to the next board.
Okay, thank you, Councillor King. Yeah, there's only one more meeting to go. It'll be your last, Councillor King.
That's correct, convener. Unless we have to have an additional meeting, of course.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Okay, thank you. Members, agenda item number 6, occasional licences granted under delegated approvals. We're asked to note these. Are they noted?
Noted.
Number 7, premises licences, minor variations under delegated approvals. Are they noted?
Noted.
Thank you. Number 8, personal licences under delegated approvals. Are they noted?
Yeah. Noted.
Number 9, extended hours granted under delegated approvals. Are they noted?
Agreed.
And number 10, premises licences surrendered delegated approvals. It is recommended that the board determine that the premises licences detailed in the attached appendix has been surrendered and have ceased to have effect. Do we agree that?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you. Members, we're asked to agree for items 11 and 12 that the public and press be excluded from the meeting during consideration of these items so as to avoid the possible disclosure of sensitive information. And if we agree to this, I believe Miss Magson will speak to us once the live stream has gone off. Do we agree?
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
That's fine. If John could stop the live stream.